to the Broad Street Boys. Today it's me and Kayla. We're going to be a huge episode today. We have the Phillies, Eagles, and Sixers to talk about. Um, a little less about how the Phillies lost in the NLCS, a little more about how the offseason could progress for them. Eagles going into the bye week with only one loss, which is fantastic, and upcoming with the hardest schedule I've ever seen. And the Sixers, now that James Harden is gone, are number one in the East. So this is going to be an absolutely insane few months for all Phillies fans and all Philly fans. So I can't wait. We're going to start off with the Phillies, though.
Phillies,
we're just going to
okay.
talk about this a little bit because, it's still a sore subject for anyone around the area.
It's sore, but there's also there's not as much to talk about yet.
I thought it was also good that we didn't do a pod for the last 2 weeks because then we would have just cussed out the whole team, and now we're a little more level-headed, little more better mentally. Because I personally, I don't know, maybe it's because I'm far away, but that next day was rough. All right, so let's start with the off season. Now Aaron Nola is probably going to be signed to a team for $100 million. That's what they're projecting. 5 years, $120 million. And then we also committed to Bryce Harper being our number one first baseman, which means Rhys Hoskins is probably gonna be gone. I just want to hear your thoughts about those two moves leading up to who we could get in the future.
So Nola's projected contract, like you said, is $120 million. Is that per year or just
5 years, $120 million?
5 years. Okay, so the Phillies, I think, offered him around $100 million.
Yeah,
and he wanted, I think, somewhere around $200 million. I don't think he's worth that, but from what I saw this morning is the chances of Philly re-signing Nola are a little bit higher and more of what they want to give him so that they can bring in other people because they are prioritizing starting pitching this offseason. So like you said, Sonny Gray, Blake Snell, even Eduardo Rodriguez, like all these guys are in the mix for who they could sign along with Nola or who could potentially come in and replace Nola and more.
Yeah. Honestly, this could be one of the more interesting off seasons in Phillies history. And I know that's saying a lot with Bryce Harper coming that a few years ago with JT and all of that. But this could be seriously like a we go all in type of off season, which is very interesting for us as fans. Now you mentioned Blake Snell, Sonny Gray. Who else? If we don't re-sign Nola, who else are you thinking? Eduardo Rodriguez would be great. Personally, I would just want someone that could pitch the whole year, similar to how Nola does.
I think regardless if we get rid of Nola, like we don't re-sign him or not, I think we will end up signing Rodriguez just because he's a lefty. In our rotation without Nola, he's still like a number 2 or 3 guy. Like Wheeler's number 1. We bring back Nola, he's number 2. If we go out, we get Gray or Snell. Snell could battle for number 1. Preferably, I'd put him at number 2. So like we'd have 1 and 2. Then there's still Suarez, Christopher Sanchez coming back after his first full year being a starting pitcher.
Yeah, he was awesome.
And he did really well. And then we got Griff McGarry and Nick Abel that could potentially come up, start in the bullpen, and then eventually find their way in the rotation. So I also see this going where Philly just lets Nola walk because they know that one of these guys is going to come up and be a stud.
Definitely. I honestly, all I want is someone that doesn't make watching baseball not fun. Aaron Nola is hard to watch in the regular season. It's just plain and flat. He is hard to watch sometimes. But it's also weird because I really, anyone that has watched, I'm not a big Aaron Nola guy, but in the first what was that, 2 games in the postseason, he didn't even let up a run or maybe 1 run.
He was fantastic.
He was so good, and then I was like, wow, okay, what do we do in the off season?
I don't
know. That's why I was crushed. I just didn't know what to do. But
even the game against Arizona where he let up 2 or 3 runs, it's like he did his job.
Yeah.
He kind of he held him down a little bit. It's just that the offense, aside from Marsh and Stott, and even Bohm, they didn't do much.
Anything.
Harper 0 for 4, Turner 0 for 4, Schwarber 1 for 4, Casty 0 for 4, JT, I think he had a walk 0 for 3.
Yeah,
Like
it was
that,
just
that's where the issue was towards the end.
absolutely.
And
And
now,
yeah,
yeah, now
go ahead.
past that, but just about 2 weeks later, hey, like we might trade Castellanos. We're open to trading Taijuan Walker, which I would love to trade Walker because you bring in this guy. He's 32 years old. You want him to be like a number 3, 4 pitcher. You give him a hefty contract of about $82 million over 4 years, and he did good the first half. He was great for a month, and then you stopped using him. You didn't use him at all in the playoffs. I don't even, what was he on the roster for the wild card? Like I don't even think he was on the roster.
I think it was either him or Lorenzen. I think Lorenzen wasn't on it, but Walker was. But I mean, they didn't
Okay,
even think about
yeah,
using him.
yeah, and I mean, like if you're gonna have a guy like that, why not try to trade him? If
Exactly.
you're not gonna use him, you have like I said, Sanchez and other guys coming up. Just trade him, dump that contract, put that money towards someone else that will actually contribute to winning.
Exactly. Or how about do something that the Phillies never do? Get fucking prospects. You never do that. This is a perfect
Mm-hmm.
opportunity to do that with our guys coming up. Especially if you never trade them over this trade deadline, then what's the use for McGarry and Abel if you're never gonna pitch them? So if you somehow generate some sort of okay prospects for Taijuan Walker, I mean, and beef up that the farm system that has historically been not good. Like, just we need something right now. But I completely agree. Walker, it was a weird year because yes, at one point he did lead the league in wins, but like, I mean, us as Philly fans, we knew some of those wins weren't like, oh, it was Taiwan Walker masterclass. No, he would probably let up 4 runs, but we would score 10. So
Yep.
like, it was definitely a weird year for him, and he also put a tweet out about something like very subtle like oh, I'll be back next year or something like a little hit at Rob Thompson about not pitching. I forget what he said explicitly, but he did say something about that. But honestly, it's kind of sad because he is a good guy for like the community. He does a ton of stuff in the
He's a
city.
great guy.
And he has like that whole food truck thing outside of the stadium once a week. He seems like a great guy, but
Mm-hmm.
it's just we just need something else for him if we're never used, and I completely agree.
And
Yeah, but
I think he's very similar to Marcus Stroman.
yes,
Had like dominant first half,
yeah,
and then he just fell off because a lot
I
of
agree.
people they were like, oh, like Philly should go after Stroman, and then it's like I was thinking about it, like he's so similar to Taijuan Walker, where it reaches a point where his arm just completely burns off.
Yeah, and they have very similar stuff too, like pitches wise,
Yep.
and same
Mm-hmm.
very similar velocity too. Maybe Stroman there's a little harder, so very similar pitcher. And I kind of want to branch that, and you mentioned this, in the possibility that apparently Nick Castellanos is open to trading. I guess. I mean, I don't know how to feel about it because I did like him in the NLDS. I think he's not the only reason we beat the Braves, obviously, but I mean, he was a huge reason why we beat the Braves in all of his home runs that he would just crush.
Yep.
Um, how do you feel? What is your initial reaction to this? Because mine, I'll tell my Patrick.
I think he's getting screwed over. Your first
Yeah,
year, like imagine you're Nick Castellanos, right? Your first year, you struggled, you got a lot of boos. People wanted to trade you after the first season. Second season, you bounce back big time. 30 plus home runs, 100 plus RBIs. You're hitting around 280, leading the league in extra base hits for a good chunk of the season. You do really well up until the NLCS series, and you go cold. And all of a sudden, after having one of your best seasons offensively and even defensively, like he made 0 errors after one of his best seasons, people still want to trade you.
yeah, it's a little weird.
And yeah, after embracing the whole Philly environment, showing up to Eagles games, and really just being a fan favorite, it kind of feels like he's getting stabbed in the back here.
I
Um,
completely agree with you. Yeah, it's
I
like a
mean,
little weird.
I think he has 1 or 2 solid years left. Like I think that fifth year of his contract will kind of be a year where it's like even if we are in contention, like we end up trading him just because we don't want that contract. So I want to keep him and just get the rest out of Castellanos because he brings a lot of swag to the team. But the only two guys that I would trade him for are Trout and Soto.
Me
Soto
too.
might be a little out of the question because I know that the Angels they're not getting Otani back.
Yeah. There's no
They
way.
said after the season that they're open to trading Trout,
Yeah.
and they aren't going anywhere.
No. There's no shot they go anywhere. And I completely agree with you. I mean, it is a little weird because Castellanos did start out really rough in the city last year. Like he
Mm-hmm.
was, I'll be the first one to say it. I had super high expectations for him, and then he didn't meet any of it. And then he sucked in the playoffs, and then it was just a weird year for him last year. And then funny, leading up to the All Star game, he was hitting 301 with a boatload of home runs, boatload of RBIs, made the All Star team. And then he had that 2 month stretch where he like hit like in the ones, and then dropped his average down dramatically. Um, and then he actually picked it back up leading up to the playoffs. Didn't do a whole lot in the wild card, and then he was like I would say the player of the series in the
Yeah,
NLDS. And
I'd
then
say
yeah, it was weird. I mean, and then
yeah.
and then in the NLCS he had one hit. So
Mm-hmm.
weird. Um, anything else about Nick? I mean, I'm gonna go a
Did you
little bit
see?
into Trout, but
Did you see the whole thing where it's like people are like, "Oh, if we trade Trout, can we still keep Liam?"
Jesus Christ, please, I love that kid. Oh, please, I'll take him. Um, leading into that though, Trout would be very interesting. That's why I like talking about it, and that's why I want him.
If the guy can stay healthy, like if he's faking the back injuries just to not play for the poverty Angels, like,
Yeah,
and he comes to Philly and he's like, "Oh, by the way, like I was bluffing all of that. Like, screw you to the Angels organization."
yeah,
Um, I'm all for that. But
me
if we
too.
get the Trout, but like he's 32, he's still in his prime. He's Mike Trout. He's got what five solid years left because
Definitely.
he's just like that, and he is
Yeah,
like all he's a veteran. He's got experience
yeah,
aside from the playoffs, and it's also like he's an MVP caliber player still when
yeah.
healthy.
And it's
I'm
it's
all for
also
it
like I am too. And listen, it is. And I feel like if we're ever gonna trade for Trout, which obviously he wants to be here, I would assume this is where he's from. He
Yep.
was in the parking lot when we won it all in 2008. He wants to be. We and us as a fan base obviously want him for the most part too. But he's just gotta stay healthy.
He'd
Um,
be at every single Eagles game
every single legal game, he would just
if
buy
he
season
gets
tickets
traded.
at that point.
If he gets traded to Philly before the Super Bowl, I
Oh,
guarantee you,
he's there.
if the Eagles are in it, he's going to the Super Bowl.
He's totally there. And I feel like we've been talking about this for the past 3 years now. Like, oh, Trout to Philly, a reunion we all need, sort of thing,
Oh,
right?
here's the other
But
thing: we dump Nola, Trout wear 27.
exactly, okay, let's do it. I'm
Mm-hmm.
in. Um, that'd be great. But I feel like we've been talking about Mike Trout coming to Philadelphia for the past I don't know 3 years, like being somewhat realistic. This is the best chance we're gonna have if we're ever gonna get Mike Trout in the city
This
ever. It's gonna be this
this is the only chance. And who
because
would you trade away?
Nick. That's the only person I would trade Nick for personally. I mean, Soto would be great, but I mean, I'm kind of taking him off the table just because of Scott Boras. Um, Nick Castellanos would be cool. I would trade him for either McGarry or Abel, I guess, and
I'm
maybe
throwing
Ross.
Painter in there.
Would you throw Painter? Okay, I like that.
He's
So
he's,
I, we
he's
got
got he's got the highest ceiling,
does
and with being his height, already having Tommy John,
yep.
if the Angels are smart, they wouldn't take him. So like if they don't take Painter, I will then throw McGarry or Abel and
I take
even
Rojas
Walker
or
over
yeah,
there
that
for
that work
Trout and
that work.
maybe like a prospect or two.
Yeah.
Can we
But
get a Wahhabi back?
that'd be great. I'm in. I actually always liked Logan O'Hoppe, so I mean, hey, screw it. And I feel like people nowadays are really there's a lot of hate around Mike Trout because of what they saw.
Because he's not a winning player.
That's what they're saying. But how can you win when Anthony Rendon played like 60 games last year at the most, and he's hurt every single year? Otani is usually, I mean, not usually hurt, but he'll do his time. And then you have scrubs like everywhere else. What's his name?
Yo,
Walsh
they had
didn't even
Matt
play the whole year.
Duffy,
Matt,
Jared
who the hell is Matt
Walsh.
Duffy?
He
Like
was their
I
third
don't
baseman.
and when you don't have pitching, I don't get how you can blame it on one player. It's a baseball is and never will be an individual sport. Never ever. Like for basketball, it's much easier, and for even for football, almost it's much easier to blame one person. Or like
Yep.
Jalen Hurts had a shit game. He had 3 interceptions. Blame Jalen Hurts, sure, right? Joel Embiid had 7 turnovers or something dramatic, right? They lost the game. It's Joel
I
Embiid's
mean,
fault.
like, look at what we were just talking about. We were just dogging on Castellanos because he went
Exactly.
over 25. So, like, you can do that.
I mean, like we will do that, but like we also know it's not just Nick Castellanos going
Yep.
1 for 26 with his only hit being the first pitch he saw. Like that's not actually how we're gonna think of it. It's also a correlation of everyone that's being paid triple digits in the millions had like 5 hits total in the last 2 games. So that's why we lost. It's not just because of Nick, right? But like obviously us as the fan will make it seem like it's Nick, but it's
Yep.
but I feel like if we're ever gonna get Trout, it's this off season
It's now or
because
never.
it's now or never, and I'm all for it because I listen. I think Mike Trout is a top 5 baseball player of all time, stats wise. Obviously not like playoffs.
He's got the
Obviously,
MVPs. He's got the Silver Sluggers. He's got the
he's
Gold Gloves. He's got
he's got the
everything
greatest
to
WAR
get into the
ever.
Hall.
Like
Yep.
it's crazy, and he's totally a Hall of Famer already with literally making the playoffs once. So I mean, if we're ever gonna get him, it's now. So I'm in. Juan Soto would also be interesting, but I don't.
I feel
It's
like we'd
tough.
have we would have to give up. I feel like a lot more for Soto,
Yeah, which is
just
weird
because the
because I
because the
think Trout's
Padres
better.
are in a spot where they're gonna have to dump a lot of players, and they're gonna want a bunch of young.
Yes.
Like we'd have to give up probably Abel McGarry, and probably like Gabriel Roncones Jr. for
Yeah,
Soto.
or some sort of collection of prospects, which I'm okay with.
Yep.
But I
Mm-hmm.
mean, listen, these 2 guys would put us over the edge too, in my opinion. Like if we get one of these guys, it's not just like, oh, we got Mike Trout or oh, we got Juan Soto. It brings the buzz into the regular season, and
Yep.
then we wouldn't be crawling to the postseason, which would be great. Like
And those are
it, like
both.
yeah,
Trout's a guy where it's like he doesn't have a cold start. Like first pitch he sees, he's gonna crank it 450 feet.
and he never strikes out. That's always
And
been his thing.
in Philly, one of the smaller ballparks, if he gets under one and he thinks it's a fly out because he's used to it in Anaheim, and then he sees it go over the right field wall,
Yeah,
like he's gonna
it's
be like, all I have to do is just put bat to ball, put it in the air, see what happens.
as Nick Castellanos said, bongo boom, and
Mm-hmm.
that's all Mike Trout's got to learn. And I completely agree with you. I mean, Trout in this city would be so great, and it would almost be like it would be very similar for when Harper came to the city. Like I never felt like, oh, we're crawling to the postseason, like oh, we're gonna make it. But like I don't want to watch the games because they're boring to watch or whatever. Like but like when Bryce Harper in his first season that he was here, I was like, I need to watch it because I'm just not used to this. And if Mike Trout came, I'd feel the exact same. I'd be like, oh my god, this is a top 10, top 5 pitcher of all time, or hitter, sorry, player of all time.
Yeah.
I caught myself. He's top 5 to 10 player of all time, and I need to watch this guy because I mean us on the other side of the continent. I mean, I never watch Mike Trout play unless it's in the All Star game, and that's just because we can't. I mean, because the Angels have been so bad, they're rarely on like Fox or ESPN. So whenever I can watch, I will, but I just can't. So and I've just never really watched his game other than like highlights. So it'll be really interesting to watch him, and that's why for me the World Baseball Classic was so enjoyable because I got to
Ton of
watch Mike
fun.
Trout.
Yeah,
I mean, it was
we
so
got to
fun to
watch
watch.
we had to watch Trout with
Trout,
Schwarber, Real Muto,
it was
Turner.
great. It was great. I loved it. Um, so yeah, hopefully we go trout fishing. Do you have anything else with the Phillies? I'm trying to maybe go to the Eagles next. Do you have any closing thoughts?
No, let's start the birds. Start the bird talk.
All right, bird talk. One loss all
You
year
you
going into the bye
know
week,
you know I'm unbiased talking about the birds too.
and that's why everybody. Caleb, again, I keep on saying this. Caleb is not an Eagles fan in the slightest, but I mean he'll root for them if they're against like what like the Chiefs. We like yeah root root for up against the
I
Chiefs? Or
I, I,
like,
I don't know. I rooted for the Chiefs in the Super Bowl because I think it'd be cool to see Mahomes surpass Brady in Super Bowl wins.
well, that'd be cool. Okay, how about the Cowboys? You definitely want to see the Eagles beat the Cowboys.
Oh yeah, yeah,
Okay, that's all that
yeah.
really matters. But um, Eagles going into the bye week with one loss going after a great win against the Cowboys. We actually wanted to lose it in that last drive, but hey, we toughed it out. Whatever. Um, Now, however, going after, they better rest up and do this Christmas album because this upcoming 4 or 5 games is rough. I'm gonna read it to you, but it is Eagles Chiefs at Chiefs on Monday night. Bills Eagles at home, 49ers Eagles at home, Eagles Cowboys away, and then Eagles Seahawks away. That is one of the hardest schedules I've ever seen us play ever. Um, and out of those 5 games, if we win 3, it's a win in my mind. Like I don't care who it's against. If we win 3, it's a win. Um, yeah, I just want to hear your thoughts because you're very unbiased and I like hearing you.
I think I think a large part of how this goes, especially against the Niners defense and Seahawks defense, is how Jalen Hurts plays.
Yeah,
If he's reading the defense like he's been reading the defense,
yeah,
I think you guys might go to like you guys will probably finish at 500, which won't hurt you guys because you'll still probably finish
okay with
with
that.
the best record in the NFL.
Yeah,
Um, AJ Brown's going off. Devonta
he's so
Smith,
good.
Slender Man, pisses me off. But
How is he
like
good? I still don't know how he's good with being 175, like going against corners that are
yeah,
200.
like I know, like he's
I don't get
good,
it.
but the thing that pisses me off is you look at him and he looks like a smaller version of Wemby out there,
He
just
literally
like just
does.
sticks and bones.
I
But
I agree.
somehow
His
he
yeah
makes all these ridiculous catches. So you got those two, you got Goddard,
yeah,
and then you have a plethora of running backs who could just run up for 10 yards plus
and the
Hurts.
best offensive line in the
Yeah,
league.
exactly. The
So
the other thing that hurts is I think the defense because the secondary has been a little cold.
yeah, you could
And
say
what is it?
that.
Yeah, what is it with everyone hating on Bradbury?
I don't get it. I think he's still really good. Everyone acts like he's not a number one. He's a number one on
He's a
most other
number
teams.
one, and it's like he's on one of the better receivers in the league, who's fast as shit.
Exactly. I don't get why he's always shit on.
Mm-hmm.
I completely agree that like this is gonna like Jalen Hurts all of a sudden looks like the MVP again. I mean I don't know where the hell that's from, and especially this last game he looks so good. Okay, no, not MVP this year, but like MVP last year, Jalen Hurts. That's who I saw in this
Dude,
past Cowboys game.
last year Jalen Hurts is like that's his ceiling. If he can get back to that form for the playoffs,
Yeah,
you guys might win the Super Bowl.
and it's weird too because I saw that Jalen Hurts in the Dolphins game and I saw that Jalen Hurts in the Cowboys game, who are by far the 2 best teams that we played, and we
Mm-hmm.
won both games. So
Well,
I think it's a big deal.
maybe the other thing is that like when he's playing all these 500 teams because this year the season of the NFL has Loki sucked
Yeah,
because you have so many teams that are hovering around 500 like the Chargers, somehow the Jets are 500.
yeah,
um, it's
it's
like
weird.
you guys have only played like 2 dominant teams, and that's when Jalen Hurts shined versus last year where he's like, oh, like I have to prove myself, so
Yes.
I'm gonna make mistakes. I'm just gonna play out of my mind. Like I'm gonna do everything I can. I'm gonna run. I'm gonna throw. I'm just gonna be an absolute dog.
Exactly. And all I see in Jalen Hurts is like someone that doesn't give a damn about stats and just wants to win. And as
Mm-hmm.
a fan, that's all you really care about. Like, I mean, Jalen Hurts. I'm pretty sure he just broke the franchise record in rushing touchdowns. Like, I mean, like that's cool, but we beat the Cowboys. Like, that's like a national holiday by us. Like that is a big deal. And I think that's a huge testament to Nick Sirianni helping him coach him up, and also that the comfortability of him being in Brian Johnson's offense, which I was unimpressed with the first 5 weeks because it was the same thing every single time. I could guess what play they're gonna run every time. It was like it's always like an inside run on second and third down, and then like a shit play on first. Like that's just how it was. It was sad, but I mean, I thought something clicked in this Cowboys game. We put up 28 points against like really good defense. People shit on that Cowboys defense for some reason. I think that defense is good. Micah Parsons can talk all he wants. I mean, I actually like when he talks because then he just never backs it up. Not him himself, his team. Like he was talking. Do you remember when he was talking crazy shit about the Niners and then they blew him out? Like
Mm-hmm.
put up 40 points against the Cowboys. Like, dude, that's crazy.
Well, that's why like a lot of people think, oh, like the Cowboys, like they're still dominant. They're not a dominant team anymore.
Dak Prescott will never be dominant. I'm sorry.
Dak, since that
No,
injury, is not the same. Pollard's
I
really good. CD Lamb's really good, but that defense, everyone's like, it's a top 10 defense.
yeah,
They've not looked like a top 10 defense this year.
it's and not
And
even
I
close either.
know, yeah, and I know like losing Diggs hurts the secondary,
But
but by
like,
how much?
you still got Gilmore, who actually won Defensive Player of the Year a few years ago. Like, it's not like you have
Mm-hmm.
scrubs at corner. You also have Micah Parsons, who's arguably the DPOY of this year. So I mean, it's not like they're bad, right? I mean, like
No,
people look down on them like they're awful. Now, Dak Prescott, I don't believe and never will believe. I don't think he's that good. I think he's the definition of a system quarterback. And I'm sorry, Dak, but like it makes me sad to say that because I don't hate him as a person. Like as a
I th-
person in everyday life, I feel like he'd be really cool to like talk to. But I just think he gets so much talk. Like why are we
because
talking about Dak Prescott?
he's the Cowboys quarterback. Everyone
And
hates the
that's just how
Cowboys.
it is. And it's annoying, but that's just how it
I'm
is.
gonna disagree with you. I think if Dak Prescott were to go to any other team,
Really
I think he'd be so much better.
interesting. I see both arguments, but he did just have the best offensive coordinator in the entire league in Kellen Moore. So but then that offense was too complicated for him, so he sucked. And then now he's with Mike McCarthy, who has like a very much step down. As an ex Packers fan, it's just a different scheme, I guess. But I just don't like Dak Prescott. I just don't think he's that good. I feel like he's very similar to Kirk Cousins in that like whenever the lights are brightest, he kind of sucks. When has he won a big game? I'm waiting
Kirk
for it.
Cousins? No, I was just talking about this with my friends here. It's like he
Yeah.
is one of the most hated on quarterbacks
Oh, I agree.
for no reason.
Zero.
I think he's like a top 10 quarterback. It's just that
I
like
would
you know like
I would put him at 10.
before
I
yeah like I'll put him at 10. Like I like Kirk Cousins. He's a likable dude. Um, his decisions, I think that's what kills him. Like that's what killed him when
Yes.
he was with the Redskins. It's killed him
Yes.
in big moments with the Vikings. But I mean, like primetime record, all that does not mean shit.
I think
The
that is
whole
one of the
like
dumbest. I think that's one of the dumbest stats
it
ever.
is so dumb.
The stupidest.
Um, but then it's like he started out the year with his first 3 games. It was insane. It's
No, I
not
know.
his fault that the Minnesota Vikings defense is dog shit,
And they are.
and
And they always have been.
dude, they're so bad.
Terrible. Like
But it's like
genuinely so bad.
but like we were just talking about, because their defense is dog shit, and Kirk Cousins is Kirk Cousins, he's gonna take the blame. The defense could literally get like miss 3 interceptions, give up 45 points, lose by a field goal, and Kirk Cousins is still gonna get the blame for it.
I agree. And it's weird that it's even like I know this is like off topic, but I mean I think it's weird. Like again, I think the primetime thing is so like it's really skewed because I mean obviously that defense is and has been awful. Like
Mm-hmm.
awful. So and like awful to the point where they let up what 38 points to Matt Ryan that first half of them all having to come all the way back last year. Do you remember that? Like what are you
Yep.
doing? Like and that defense is always bad. I mean, and I don't even think he's that bad. Like you said, it's the whole decision making thing that kills him.
They had Zadarius Smith last year, and I thought he was going to be a huge piece in that defense in producing a good playoff run.
Yeah,
But it's like he made a difference, but I mean, like no one else was doing their job.
I know exactly. Like it's a little odd. Okay, going back on to this, I just don't think Dak Prescott's that good.
Yeah, no.
But in the future, I do think we're gonna give the Chiefs a good game, even though it's in Arrowhead. I think that's one of the ones we lose, honestly.
You guys will you guys are going to beat the Chiefs. Patrick
You think
Mahomes
so?
is good. Their defense has gotten better, but
Yeah.
he doesn't have a receiver.
Yeah, I mean, like Juju was okay last year, but he was like a guy. But like, who the hell do they have? They have Nicole Hardman back or Sky Moore.
Yeah, and like Kelsey the past 2 games has not done a whole lot.
because Taylor Swift isn't there. What a shame.
Dude, get her out of the
What a
freaking
shame.
stadium, dude.
What
I
a
don't care
shame.
that Taylor Swift's there. Yeah, cool. You guys have a super music, like one of the greatest musicians of all time, probably. Which I
Probably.
disagree with that. I think she's overrated. Talented,
Yeah.
yes,
Yes.
but I mean, like, how many songs about a breakup can you write?
That's
Um, yeah, she's at the game. Cool. Show her once. Don't show her after every little play that goes to Travis Kelsey.
so funny. I honestly, I'm past the point of being pissed. I just think it's funny. I'll just laugh whenever they show her for like the 10th time. Like, oh, there she is again. She's still there. But I think the Eagles Chiefs game is going to be like the game of the year. I think that's going to be such a good game. I thought the game of the year was going to be Dolphins Chiefs, and that ended up not being the greatest of games. But I
No,
mean,
I think
I
I
just
think
think
the
Eagles
I think
Chiefs
the
is going to be
better
awesome.
game.
Yeah, I hope
But
so.
I thought the Bengals Bills was going to be good.
Yeah,
What's next Thursday? It's Bengals versus.
I have no idea.
It
This
was
past Thursday night game was
I think
terrible.
it was Bengals Dolphins. I feel like that could be a good game.
That'll be a good one.
I think yeah.
How about Panthers Bears last night? That was a really good one. I was really impressed with both quarterbacks. Just that was terrible.
There should be a list of teams that are banned
So
from
bad.
playing on Thursday night, Sunday night, primetime games, and Monday night.
So
And
bad.
the Bears should be one of them. The Chargers
Obviously.
should be one of them.
Yeah. The
There
Jets.
are the Jets,
Why have I watched the
the
Jets three
the,
times on primetime?
the Broncos.
Yeah, the
There
Broncos.
are a ton of teams that should just not be on.
Broncos are Monday night this week, right? Are they against are they against the Chargers?
Are you kidding me?
I think that's what it is.
Are you kidding me?
I'm gonna look because I'm not 100%. I'm gonna look because I know it is the Broncos on Monday night,
Like, I
which
know
is
Herbert
awful.
played. Like, I know he played a solid defense, but the Chargers defense
It's
is
Broncos
terrible.
Bills. Broncos Bills.
Broncos and Bills. Oh, okay.
That's what you're making me watch on Monday. A
So
slaughter.
that's like a major league versus minor league game.
Yeah. Oh, add to your list the fucking Raiders too. I'm over watching the Raiders on Sunday night. I'm over it. Why am I watching Jets Raiders on Sunday night? That is terrible.
Dude, I don't
That is
know.
that is a nightmare scenario.
Yo,
That is terrible.
in the Panthers.
Oh, they're so bad. I feel so awful for Bryce Young. I don't know if anyone else feels like that. I feel so bad.
I don't feel bad for him.
You
He's
don't.
not creating opportunities, dude. He's really just like
I know. He,
he's just
yeah.
throwing the ball out. He's just putting
He
it
is
out
a
there. He's like, oh,
weird.
I'm gonna see what happens.
It is kind of weird watching him because like we're used to quarterbacks moving in the pocket. Like I feel like Bryce Young takes about 3 steps in the pocket, sits back there, and throws like just a duck, just a spinner out to friggin' Adam Thielen, and Adam Thielen has to catch it. Like and for some reason they're using Chuba Hubbard over Miles Sanders. Like I just don't get that team.
Dude, Sanders looked he didn't look too good last night.
No one looked good last night. Even Tyson Bagent didn't even look good.
Nah,
He
dude,
was.
Thielen looked good last
Now
night, dude. He's a dog.
Now we talked about this here. I know this is very off topic from the Eagles, but I think I don't know where this speed from Adam Thielen has come from, but do you think he looks just like faster this season by like far?
It's because I
Something's
think he's
wrong.
doing
Something's different.
he's doing smaller routes, and I think because
Yeah, I
of
guess.
they brought him in, they're like, all right, look, we want you to catch the ball, take a hit, and
Yeah,
try to get a yard or two. So he was like, all right, like
it's
maybe
it,
he did some speed training.
it's just different from what we saw him in on the Vikings because he was mainly
But that's
like a
also because of
middle guy.
Cousins. Like Cousins
Yeah.
has an arm. That's
Yes.
the other thing. Like Bryce Young could hardly see over the offensive line.
Which is sad to say, but it's true. I mean, you can hardly see, and like I feel like I haven't seen Bryce Young forced down the field yet. It's always
No.
like these little dink and dunks to Thielen, and anyone out of the backfield. Like it's really sad to watch,
Mm-hmm.
which is sad. Okay, let's get back on. Okay, Eagles. Okay, want to move on to the Sixers
But yeah. Yeah.
because I love this team. We haven't really talked about this a whole lot, but James Harden is gone. Thank God. I love who we got in return for him, even though, I mean, we could have got some people better, but I actually don't hate Nick Batum. He's like a a George Niang, just a glorified George Niang. Robert Covington is back. It's a pretty good 3-and-D player. People aren't talking about this yet because he hasn't really played, but KJ Martin's a stud. He averaged 12 last year, which is good. Nick Nurse, I love this team with Nick Nurse. He is giving Tobias Harris the ball more where he wants it, not in the corner, like a fourth star like Doc Rivers did, because Tobias Harris is not a fourth star. He is a third star in this team, and I love it. Kelly Oubre, which Caleb and I talked about off camera, that is one of the greatest contract signings I've ever seen the Sixers make. The league veteran minimum for a guy that is starting and putting up 20-plus starts with clampers. I mean, he's the definition of a 3-and-D, and I love it. And he's a slasher. I know you have something to say about Kelly Oubre, Caleb. So I'll lead this off to you. But
I'm gonna take a step back, dude. Like,
oh, yeah?
Getting rid of Harden,
Yes,
was one of the greatest decisions that the Sixers could have made.
completely.
Not only is he like lazy on the court,
yeah,
he never played well with Embiid.
Yeah.
He is a diva. He spends more time in a strip club than in the training facility.
So
he got
true.
fat. He's got to lay off the beer or whatever else he's throwing in there. Because I know there's other substances that are probably like.
Who knows?
Can we get a CAT scan of James Harden's brain?
Can we get like a blood sample of James Harden?
Like, yeah, like it's nowhere near as bad as Antonio.
Oh my god,
dude, Antonio Brown's brain. But I mean, like, dude, he says some things and he does some stuff. Like, he's whack. Going in China and calling out the Sixers organization. Why are you doing it in China?
What are you doing?
They don't give a shit about the NBA in China.
And then he called the GM. He called Daryl Morey a liar.
Yeah.
What do you? I mean, okay. Like, so I did this in a podcast by myself with Jaden, but I can see both sides to that. Like maybe Morey was like, yo, we're really gonna try to trade you this offseason. Like hopefully, so just accept your player option and we'll trade you, right? And then it doesn't happen, and I get why he's pissed. But why are you doing it in China? Right? Like, what are you doing? Who would think to do that? And the whole thing, I think you probably saw this too. With his first press conference with the Clippers are expecting him to be like, oh yeah, I'll play with Paul George, Kawhi, keep going down the line of that team. That team's good. But then in your first press conference, you say, I am a system player. No, sorry, I'm not a system player. I am the system. You're the third best player on that team, dude. What are you doing?
The only thing he should do.
What are you doing?
Is sit on the bench.
Yeah.
Get him a 50-liter soda because that fat ass needs it. It may be a little bit of popcorn because if he's on my team, dude, I don't care who's on the team. He's not playing more than 20 minutes.
I mean, Caleb, listen. You saw me try to support that guy. I really tried to like James Harden. Like me personally, I did not like him in Houston, and I hate him even more in Brooklyn because he was good. I tried so hard to like James Harden, and it was working in the game 1 of the Celtics series when he put up 45 and won a huge. But as soon as he goes, and listen, I get him wanting to get a trade out of here, whatever. I wasn't actually pissed off at that. It's the way that he handles these things and how much unnecessary pressure he puts on the organization. The organization's gonna get it done. What do you want? The entire fan base to hate you too? Like, if that's his goal, then he's succeeding. But I don't get it. I don't get it. And I'm sorry. And this is the last thing I'll say about the whole system thing. We saw in Houston how that system worked. It got you to Game 7 in the West Championship Series. That's as far as you're gonna go. That Houston team with him, Chris Paul, PJ Tucker in his prime, Clint Capella, you can keep going down that line, and that's a great team where you were the system. And you saw how that worked. You had to put up 45 a game and had to destroy your body to the point where on the Nets you can't, like, how many games did he play on the Nets? Not a full season.
None of them did.
Right?
And like, so, look how. Yeah. Here's the other thing. Like, this is why I think this is where I blame the Sixers. Why bring in Harden in the first place when he's creating drama in the Nets?
I actually. I have to breathe. But this is why I think they did bring him in. They wanted to see what he could do in his first year here, and I think, and then we re-signed him. But I don't think we should have re-signed him.
No,
Personally, I actually do get why we got him because we needed something and we needed Ben Simmons off the damn team. But I think we could have just let him go, and then we could have just either traded for someone else or signed someone else. But like, of course we had to sign him, and I wasn't a big deal that, and that's when I was like, and you saw it. I was like,
you
I
loved
have
it.
to like, and I had to. I had no choice. I was just forced with Ben Simmons in my face, and now I have this guy James Harden who I have to like. Like I have to like this guy. And now he's gone, thankfully. I mean, I'm just over talking about him because now his team is 0-2 on the other side of the country, and they can stay 0-2 on the other side of the country. I'm so over him, and I'm so over how childish he acts. It blows my mind. And this is gonna be the last thing I'm on my Harden rant, and I said this in the post that I did on Instagram. If you read that, Caleb, I said James Harden this offseason had the chance, right? He had the chance to be like, okay, I'm finally gonna give my all to a city, like how I gave my all to the Rockets. You have a blue pill and a red pill from the Matrix. The blue pill, you can stay in Philadelphia. You can become one of the more beloved players in Philadelphia if you are who you think you are, and you become this system, whatever the fuck you want to call yourself, whatever. We'll support you because you're good. Or you take this red pill and become one of the most hated players, which he is right now in all of the whole league and in the city, and piss off the entire city and fan base as a whole, and then go ring hunting like Kevin Durant did with Golden State. We saw how much hate he got for that, and obviously he took the red pill because now he blew up in our face and in Daryl Morey's face. So that's all I had. I'm done. Go. I
Yeah,
can't. It's making me pissed off now. Go.
yeah. It's like, well, the thing with Katie is like, who doesn't want a ring?
Exactly.
He wanted a ring. He went to the Evil Empire in the NBA,
Did.
and then he goes to the Nets. Not much is happening there, but it's like he's a guy where like he can carry a team to a championship.
By far.
It doesn't matter where he's at, who he's playing with. He's a winning player.
Yeah. And I think we can both agree on this, and I've always said this, and Jaden has been saying this since he joined the Warriors back in 2016 or whenever the hell that was. I think Kevin Durant is one of the most gifted scorers this league has ever seen.
Mm-hmm.
Like, I think I put Jordan and KD right next to each other in gifted scorers because if you're 7 foot, you're not supposed to shoot 40% from three. I'm sorry. And have a pull-up game like Michael Jordan, except you're 7 foot tall. And you could dunk on everybody. You're not supposed to be like that. But, like, he is. That's why I put
If
him right
he
next to each and that's exactly why I put him right next to each other in the offensive category. Obviously, Kevin Durant is not a top 10 player.
played, yeah, well, if he played every game, I think he would be.
Yeah, I agree. He's one of the players that load management affects, which is sad. But I mean,
Yep.
it's just
Yep.
Okay, moving on to like a more happy thing with the Sixers. Tyrese Maxey.
You get, yeah, Tyrese Maxey's a stud.
Love him.
You can now talk about Kelly Oubre and the impact that he's made, and how, what was it? Embiid and Maxey became the first players for the Sixers to put up 25.
It was like 25, 25, and 20 or something.
Yeah,
which is crazy. Yeah, I do love this team right now. Like I haven't loved this team since Jimmy Butler and that team. I'm not even kidding. Like I love this team, and I love Patrick Beverley on this team too, because yes, we gave up PJ Tucker, who is considered like a dog, like that dog mentality, like a hustle guy.
I didn't
Patrick
like
Beverley,
him.
I didn't either. I think Patrick Beverley is a glorified version of PJ Tucker, except better and a point guard. And Patrick, I feel like I like. Okay, let's put ourselves into like their seat. I would listen to Patrick Beverley more. I would listen to PJ Tucker, just because I know Pat Bev has been on like 7 different teams and seen 7 different scenarios, so he knows what he's talking about. Wow, PJ Tucker has just dick rided James Harden his entire career. So
I just thought PJ Tucker was just as big and fat as James Harden.
I completely agree. He would just sit in the damn corner and airball threes. That was his goal. That was his goal.
Yeah,
Which is
I did
nuts.
not. He did nothing for the Sixers.
Nothing. I mean, and listen, I thought in that Celtics series he wasn't that bad, and him hyping up Embiid helps everything. But
Mhm.
I mean, listen, it's a weird scenario because I do love Pat Bev, and I did not hate PJ. I just think Pat Bev is exponentially
Well, Tucker's role, I feel like, should have been okay. Like he's a bench player. If you want someone to
yes,
go in and stir up the other team, like get in their head, that should be his role because that's what he's good at. Like you
yes,
said, like he's gonna back up his teammates. Like
yes,
he's a good teammate. I
and
don't
that's
think
Pat
he
Bev's
should
job.
be like the fifth starter though.
Fuck no. The fact that Daryl Morey thought that PJ Tucker was enough is embarrassing. Is embarrassing.
Mm-hmm.
Um, yeah, and like I love that point you just made, like about the like we're going up against Kevin Durant. I want PJ Tucker guarding Kevin Durant. I want Patrick Beverly switching on to Kevin Durant because Pat Bev is not going to give a fuck about his stature. He's just going to talk so much shit to him and plays so intensely that like I need to watch, you know. Um, and then
Give him a nice little slap down under.
because
Get the
why not,
ball.
right? Fuck it, why not? Kevin Durant
Anything to
deserves
steal the ball.
anything. I'd do anything. And then one last thing I would like to say about the Sixers. I like to hear your standpoint because I haven't heard your standpoint about this yet. Um, because we got all these assets now, could you see the Sixers trading for another star like Zach LaVine from the Bulls?
No, no.
You don't? I
I
don't
don't
either.
see. I don't
I
see
don't
a
want it.
reason to change or fix what you have now when it's working.
I agree. I don't see a reason. Like I'm waiting for a reason. You know, like the fact that we only have like what 2 losses or 1 loss and we're number 1 in the East. Why the hell would we change everything? You saw we also saw what the Nuggets did.
Mm-hmm.
I'm in a sports communication writing class right here, and this is what we talked about. For some reason, in every sport, everyone thinks, oh, you need X, Y, and Z star players to win a championship. This past year, 2 years, I would say, has said fuck all of that. The Rangers just won the damn World Series, and the Nuggets just won the NBA Finals,
Yep.
and the Chiefs just won the Super Bowl. Why? I mean, and all of their players are mainly homegrown. I don't count Juju Smith-Schuster. You can suck my dick with that one. He's not that good.
Mm-hmm.
But like, it's like the major players. Like, I think the Suns are going to be good, like with Beal, Kevin Durant, and Devin Booker and all that. But they inherited those. Like they
Yep.
didn't like grow up, other than Devin
Mm-hmm.
Booker. But you see what I mean? Like, why?
Yeah.
If we've been listening and seeing anything, and if Morey and Nurse have been learning and with their eyes seeing anything in the past 2 years, you don't need a star. I mean, you don't need like 7-star players with egos. You just
No,
need
or
one.
like
Yeah.
if the Sixers going to bring in anyone, make the bench better.
Yeah.
Get someone
Deep
who
bench.
maybe will only play defense.
Yeah.
Or like if you want to make a trade for a bigger name, you should have learned from Harden that hey, like these big all-star superstar guys, that's not going to work because Embiid plays better when Embiid is the best player on the court.
Exactly. And I honestly was sad when Seth Curry went away because I thought Seth Curry was awesome. And I mean, we kind of needed that. We kind of lost that spark from Drew too. So you know what? At this point, I love this team, and if I've learned anything from Nick Nurse, Nick Nurse doesn't need 7 stars. Nick Nurse just needs Kawhi Leonard, and our Kawhi Leonard is
Yeah,
Joel Embiid, right?
yeah.
Like let's
Like
be honest here.
look at the
Let's be honest.
Toronto team.
Exactly. That's what
They're
I've been saying this entire time. You have no
yep.
idea. That's what I've been saying this entire time. I can go down that line, and there's only one star, and that's Kawhi Leonard. We have one
That,
star.
yep. Yep. And
I mean,
keep it
like,
that way.
please. We have okay. So on that team, look. Okay, this is the last thing, but before we end this, but think about that Raptors team. You have Kawhi Leonard at the small, right? That's your
Mm-hmm.
star. He's
Yep.
now Joel Embiid. Their point guard was Kyle Lowry, who I actually liked at that time. That's
Yep.
our
He was
that's
good at
not
that
our
time too.
maxi. He was great at that time, beloved by that city. Not exactly a maxi type of player, but like a role player almost.
Mm-hmm.
You had a super young OG Anunoby, which is very very similar archetype to Kelly Oubre. And then you have Pascal Siakam, who in my opinion, is very similar to Maxi in that he's like that 2-star. You know, like
Yep.
he's that second guy that can just get you a buck. Like Pascal Siakam, a young Pascal Siakam back in the day was so good. He would hit and be with that spin that enjoy. But I just think Nick Nurse doesn't need 7 all-stars. He just needs 1 or 2.
Yeah, and like the Sixers should know that they're in a much better position now. Even though they might look worse on paper,
Yeah.
they're in a better position now to finally beat the Celtics in a game 7.
And they just beat the damn Celtics. Okay, again, I'm going to keep on saying this. This is the last thing I'm going to say. I think, hot take, the Celtics got worse. What do you think? I think the Celtics got worse. And here's my argument. Ready? Marcus Smart. I think Marcus Smart I hated him, but I hated him because he was good. And I hated him because he was annoying. And I hated him because he brought that dog mentality that he is going to beat you on defense and do okay on offense. But he's going to beat you on defense and he's going to beat you well. Like, he shut down Tyrese Maxey. We know this. Robert Williams, another scrappy guy, gone. And for some reason gone, just for no reason. He's on the freaking Blazers now. And then you replace that with Drew Holiday, which I do like. I do like Drew Holiday. I wanted Drew Holiday back. And then the hologram of Kristaps Porzingis chucking threes. I'm still waiting, and Jaylen Brown and Jason Tatum are good. I don't think Jaylen Brown should have got 500 mil or whatever the fuck
No,
he got.
that was way too like an insane amount.
Caleb, did you know that he can't go to his left hand? He can't go to his left hand. People force him to his left hand because he can't dribble. As an NBA player, how are you getting paid that much money and you can't go to your left hand? Okay, but I just think we are better than the Celtics. I think the Bucks are the ones that we're gonna get fucked on because
I'm not going to like on paper. I don't think you guys are better than the Celtics, but you will outplay the Celtics because of what your team is doing right now. Who you guys have and how they mix together.
Yep. And I don't like the Celtics coach. I don't think Joe Mazzulla is the guy, even though they re-signed him. I think Nick Nurse is exponentially better than him. But I think if I had to guess who our biggest like I would say roadblock is, I would say the Bucks, because the Bucks have Dame and Giannis, and that hasn't clicked yet. But once that does click,
don't they have Giannis's brother as well?
Yeah,
somewhere in that system,
somewhere in the bench, and Chris Middleton's still there, and Brook Lopez is still there. Like, oh my god, and they have young guys like Beachum, and you can keep on going. That's the team that scares me personally. And even though they haven't clicked yet, they only have 3 or 4 losses, which is crazy to me. But yeah, okay. Do you have anything else to say about anything? Any sport?
No.
You're good? Okay.
No.
Well, thank you all so much for watching. We're going to try to get back to uploading once a week on these Fridays. Or at least I'm going to try. And I mean, for all of us, Caleb, you can definitely attest to this. These past 2 or 3 weeks in college have been hell, at least for me, work-wise.
Dude, I can't tell you the last time. Like every week, I have 1 or 2 exams. I can't tell you the last time, but there was a week where I didn't have an exam.
Tell me about it. I'm in this accounting class, and it's nuts. It's crazy. But that's basically why we haven't been posting a whole lot on here. I've been trying to do the Instagram. I think I've been doing an okay job on Instagram, TikTok.
Oh, you've been carrying Instagram.
But we're gonna try to get back to this as our semesters start to wind down, going into Thanksgiving break. And then probably not do it during finals week in December, but then get back to it over the break.
There's no shot we do anything finals week.
So we honestly might take another 2-week break, but like once we come back after that, we're going in person. Actually, we're going.
My finals week is before your finals week, so you and Jake could do something before, and then during your finals week, me and Jake could do something. Genius. So we might put something out during finals week. It's very, very slight chance, but it could happen.
Anything can happen. You'll see it on the Instagram. Make sure you follow us on Instagram, TikTok, Twitter. I mean, I post daily on Instagram. At least I try to, with all the updates on all the teams going. TikTok, I just posted two TikToks. And then on Twitter, I'm usually on there. So thank you all so much for watching. Hopefully we'll see you next week. Hopefully Jake is back. Jake was. We'll see you in the next one.